Coming up on First at 5, we tell you what you can expect in north central Florida as hurricane season quickly approaches.
Plus, cuts to Gainesville's RTS system, which routes you can expect to change and how that could affect your commute.
And over 100 people detained following an immigration raid in Tallahassee Thursday. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Hurricane season is just 2 days away and officials want to make sure you're ready. Welcome to First at 5, I'm Matt Montalto.
And I'm Magnel Loper. Before we get into hurricane preparations, let's get a first check on our current weather conditions.
Yeah, guys, right now we're taking a look at some strong thunderstorms making their way across the state. Some of those are making their way across the Space Coast right now into the Atlantic Ocean, and we'll see how those turn out. But for us, we're actually looking at the possibility for some showers and thunderstorms into the late evening hours tonight, all the way up to 60% at 4 a.m. So if you do plan on driving late, make sure those windshield wipers are ready and drive safely. Looking ahead to the rest of the weathercast today, some nighttime thunderstorms tonight into tomorrow morning as well. A sunny rest of the weekend and maybe a good pool day on Sunday, and the heat is here to stay.
Hurricane season is on top of the agenda in the Sunshine State. Here's what NOAA's National Hurricane Center director has to say about the upcoming season.
We're expecting 13 to 19 named storms of systems of least tropical storm strength, 6 to 10 of those becoming hurricanes, 3 to 5 of those becoming major hurricanes. So we've been in a very active period, more or less, for about the last 30 years in the Atlantic.
This year's Atlantic hurricane season officially begins on Sunday. This coming in the middle of an internal agency review of FEMA, which states the Federal Emergency Management Agency is not ready for what's expected to be another active season. About 10% of FEMA's total workforce has left since January. That includes the former acting FEMA administrator, Cameron Hamilton, who was fired earlier this month after telling lawmakers he does not support dismantling the agency. Locally, leaders want to make sure you are prepared.
So we want to make sure that, number one, that everybody has a plan for hurricanes. Number two, that they build a kit in the event that they have to shelter in place or they have to evacuate an area. And number three, we want to make sure that everybody is staying informed.
Officials launched Tap Into Preparedness hurricane season kickoff. Officials will visit breweries across the county looking to sign people up for emergency text alerts. They will also share preparedness tips. Next event is Saturday, May 31st at the High Springs Brewing Company from 6 to 9 p.m. You're urged to text 888-777 to sign up for emergency alerts.
If you travel by bus in Gainesville, an upcoming vote planned for Thursday, June 5th could affect your commute. It comes from a plan set 2 months ago by UF and RTS to combine and eliminate routes. After receiving backlash in 2 meetings, a new plan was made. Some of the changes include replacing routes 122 and 127 with campus commuter routes, combining routes 12, 34, and 35, and changing a majority of the other routes. Gainesville City Commissioner Brian Eastman talked about the buses today.
Some routes are being reduced while other routes are changing around so that they are hitting places that are heavily used. And so people are going to have to look at the details and check out their routes to make sure that they can find their way to campus and around the city.
If approved, the changes would take effect by June 30th.
There's a new fire chief in Gainesville. Joseph Sean Hillhouse takes on the role after 22 years of experience with Gainesville Fire Rescue. Chief Hillhouse has held every rank within GFR. In November, he assumed the role of interim fire chief following the departure of former department leader Joe Dixon. Hillhouse is set to start his new position June 9th. And as Gainesville celebrates its new fire chief, Alachua County is debuting its new state-of-the-art fire rescue station. The Fire Rescue Station 21 is an 11,500 square foot facility costing $7 million. It is expected to serve the Alachua community for the next 50 plus years. The grand opening took place this morning. Neighbors are encouraged to visit the open house event on Saturday, May 31st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can expect a cookout along with a station tour, fire truck and ambulance show and tell, and firefighter activities for children.
Now for some news around the state. If you're considering taking a swim at the Volusia County beaches, officials warn you to keep an eye out for jellyfish. Volusia County Beach Safety has recorded over 360 stings since Saturday, so it's important to keep your eyes peeled. Some beachgoers have even decided to stay out of the water while visiting the beach. If you decide to go swimming, officials recommend swimming in front of a staffed lifeguard tower, where a lifeguard will be able to help you if you get stung. In Melbourne, a train slammed into a semi-truck earlier this morning, and it was captured on camera. It was about 9 a.m. local time in Melbourne, Florida. The truck stalled on the track. When the crossing arms came down, the driver of the truck got out of the cab. A short time later, the collision. Authorities say no one was hurt, but as you can see, there was a lot of damage. At least one roadway had to be shut down while the crash investigated and cleaned up.
More than 100 people were detained following an immigration raid at a construction site in Tallahassee Thursday. Homeland Security says some of those detained were previously deported and had some criminal background. The Leon County Sheriff's Office says it's not clear what charges the detainees will face. They were taken to jail and placed on an ICE hold. We recently interviewed District 4 City Commissioner Brian Eastman. We'll have more on the information on the legal battle surrounding immigration after the break.
Coming up next when First at 5 returns.
President Trump gets a win in court, allowing the signature tariffs to remain in place.
Plus, a new Supreme Court decision stripping protections from hundreds of thousands of migrants. All that and more when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back to First at 5. A ruling coming down from the Supreme Court this morning, allowing the Trump administration to end protections for more than 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, while appeals are underway. Today's 7-2 ruling overturns a federal judge's order that had blocked the administration from immediately rescinding protections given to those immigrants by the Biden administration. The court granted an emergency application filed by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, ending the Biden-era program that gave 532,000 people permission to temporarily live and work in the United States. The policy, known as the CHNV parole programs, allowed people who passed a security check and who had a sponsor in the United States to enter the country.
In other legal news, a federal appeals court has temporarily paused a ruling which had halted several of President Trump's tariffs on international trading partners. Alice Barr is in Washington with updates on the ongoing legal battle.
President Trump heading to Pennsylvania today for a rally at U.S. Steel on the heels of a new reversal, allowing his sweeping tariffs to remain in effect for now after a federal appeals court temporarily paused a ruling by the Court of International Trade that blocked most of the president's tariffs because they said he'd exceeded his authority and using an emergency powers law and sidestepping input from Congress. President Trump slammed the ruling overnight, saying if it stands, it would completely destroy presidential power, and arguing that getting congressional approval for tariffs would dramatically slow the process as his administration negotiates trade deals with world leaders.
Very adamant that this is the right approach, and so, while we're ready for a backup plan that's never going to happen because this is going to work.
The White House does have other means of enacting tariffs without emergency powers, leaving business owners like Victor Schwartz, lead plaintiff in the trade case and founder of a small New York-based wine company, guessing what's coming next.
The tariffs are a cash flow killer, particularly impactful for a small business. This kind of uncertainty is terrible for business.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent weighing in overnight on the state of trade negotiations, saying some deals are close, while on the closely watched talks with China.
I would say that they are a bit stalled.
The White House promised to reach 90 deals in 90 days, leaving them until July 9th, with few announcements so far. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Man, you know what? I walked into the station today. It was so nice out. The cloud coverage was great. And then when I walked out to go get some lunch, oh my gosh, it was so hot out.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing when I was on the way out to my car. It's been hot outside lately.
Yeah, guys, it's been very warm outside, and that cloud cover did help a little bit earlier today, but still, temperatures nice and warm, quite balmy. Gainesville, 91 degrees right now, Ocala at 89, and mostly staying in the high 80s, low 90s range for much of the north central Florida area. Campus cam showing some partly cloudy skies. It was much cloudier earlier today, but much of that has cleared out. Winds coming out of the west, 15 miles an hour with some strong gusts. Those should help to cool things down a little bit as well. A little bit cloudy over Steve Spurrier, Florida field too. Looking at the storm tracker, most of these storms are moving off the I-95 corridor off into the Atlantic Ocean. We're tracking this one cell that's in Lafayette County. It was a bit stronger when it was in Taylor County, but still could bring some heavy rain into that area over the next little bit. And as you can see, as we zoom in on it, you could see it weaken over the course of time before it should fizzle out at some point. Most of these storms should be scattered in nature. Now, compared to this cold front, which has a line of storms going along with it, there's a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for Alabama all the way into the Carolinas. Something to keep an eye on if you're planning on driving up anywhere heading into the weekend. Now, this severe threat extends all the way into tomorrow, but today, an enhanced risk 3 out of 5 for the Carolinas, while north central Florida staying at a marginal risk, a scale of 1 out of 5, those primary hazards applying to the north central Florida area. Could see some wind gusts and possibility for small hail, too. Now this evening, mostly cloudy before the rain chance increases as we get into the latter hours, thunderstorm risk increasing into